All right, welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where we're here to live a life on purpose and to flourish and be fulfilled in all areas of our life. So, welcome again, Kirk McDowell. I appreciate you and honor you. Today, I wanted to explore the topic of vulnerability.
Mm.
It's been going around in the village a lot, and this is the access point to our true self. And so I wanted to distinguish the power of it and get your take on this.
Cool. Vulnerability. Um, so first thing that's coming through is vulnerability is the exact opposite of how most people relate to it. Most people relate to vulnerability as a weakness, but it's actually incredibly powerful. It takes incredible courage to identify and communicate where you're actually located, what you're actually thinking, and what you're actually feeling. We've been, it's been beat out of us, this sovereignty, this honoring oneself, honoring one's heart, honoring one's experience has been beaten out of us, and in favor of doing what we're told and, you know, toeing the line and that sort of thing. And I know from myself personally for sure, and I'm pretty sure this is universal, in a environment where people are taught not to be themselves, not to be authentic, not to reveal their true location. By location, I mean like your perspective, what you think and feel about a thing. You know, we've been taught that where we're located is unimportant, where we're supposed to be located is important. We spend I mean, I can speak for myself, but I'm pretty certain it's universal. We spend most of our lives trying to figure out what the world wants us to be. And then we spend the rest of our energy, whatever's left, we spend trying to be something that we're not
Yeah.
because we've determined that that's, what we're supposed to be. And with good reason, because every time we're not what we're supposed to be, we get shamed, beaten, humiliated, yelled at, canceled, fired,
Yep.
let go, abandoned. Right. So
The list
it's,
goes on. Yes.
yeah, it's with, it's not crazy that way. Hey, we shouldn't be ourselves. That's not like a crazy thing. Like, well, what do you think you're doing being inauthentic and wearing a mask and being who you're supposed to be? No, that's like common sense. Like, that's like, if you're not doing that, you're either completely crazy. It'd be interesting if the crazy people were the ones who are not wearing the mask, right? Either you're completely crazy in the view of, people who are committed to the mask, or you're free, you know? And so anyway, so for most people, including still myself from time to time, being vulnerable, revealing the truth about what I think and what I feel and my perspective on this issue and whatever's going on inside of me, you know, that takes incredible courage. It takes incredible faith.
Yeah.
It takes incredible trust that you're able to manage and deal with and survive whatever is about to happen. Some of the most difficult, painful, embarrassing, shameful moments of my entire life have been right the nanosecond after I revealed the truth of what was going on inside of me. And so
Mm.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed a distinct correlation between being authentic and vulnerable and getting beat, getting beat down psychologically, verbally, even physically, Um, and so, um, and so, um, and so in an insane world, sanity looks crazy. A sane person looks insane in an insane world because they're doing the thing that we are not supposed to do, being truthful,
Yeah.
being ourselves fully, right? Following your dreams, having a purpose, ignoring the advice of a government. Very triggering for a lot of people.
Yes.
Put this untested, highly experimental drug in your body, or else. So often a person goes, "Well, that feels doesn't feel like that's really my choice." And
Yeah.
a lot of people got in big trouble for just simply revealing the truth about where they were about a thing. People got fired, people got canceled, people got beat up, people got, you know. So anyway, so this idea of just, oh, let me just one more piece. So the opposite of being vulnerable is to be wearing a mask. You know,
Yeah.
one might say, well, Kirk, you obviously, what mask are you talking about? I'm not wearing a mask. Well, let me say something about the mask, right? So, uh, the mask is a persona, like a personality, an entity, a creation that you present to the world in place of yourself.
Yes, I know this one very well.
Yeah. In place of yourself, because failure to do so has catastrophic consequences.
Yeah.
Failure to play the part, failure to comply, failure to regurgitate the narrative. When somebody asks you something like, what's your political party, or are you a vegetarian, or whatever, those are not invitations for a deep, meaningful, connected conversation. Those are tests.
Mm.
And you better get the answer right. So most people use their words to obfuscate, to hide, to conceal their true location. So the mask is literally a personality, and most people use their words to, as part of that personality, to not reveal where they are, but actually obscure where they are. How you doing? Fine. Are you sure? Didn't you just go through bankruptcy? Aren't you divorced? Didn't you just kick out of your house? Aren't you sofa surfing? And didn't you just get diagnosed with a disease? this
Shit.
this to you this to you is fine. Now, that's a slight exaggeration, but not much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ask people like who are just about to keel over and die how they're doing. Fine.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Yeah. I'm good. So, but that's a learned behavior. I think for men in particular, it might be the same for women, but even so, I think it's more for men. Men
Hmm.
are expected to be strong, and often when men show vulnerability, they get attacked. Well, that's true of women too. A woman will cry, and a man will attack her for that. Hey, what are you crying about? But I think what most people don't recognize is that's also very true of men. Whenever a man, I don't know about whenever, but often whenever I've revealed weakness, emotional weakness, physical weakness, psychological weakness, exhaustion, whatever, that's the time I get attacked. Like in that very moment, I get attacked for not being what I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not being what I was supposed to be. Yeah. So this idea of, so we use our words to create a false narrative, a false story, a false image of where we are, and then we point people to the image so they don't look at us. So one of the things I used to do in that respect is I used to be really charming. Might be hard to imagine now, but I used to be really charming. I could walk to a room and light it up and have people laughing and da 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 da. And that was like my thing, right? Now, it wasn't authentic.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I was just so full of joy and connection that I just wanted to go play with people. I was working the room to my advantage, whether that is being safe, whether that is not being cast out, whether that is trying to do business with somebody. I was in the business world for a long time, whether that's trying to do business or whatever, but it was manipulative on purpose and by design.
Hmm.
Here's who I think you want to do business with. Boom, how am I doing? And the more you laugh, the more I decide I'm getting it done. Right.
Yeah.
And so the opposite of that is to be someone who reveals their true location, reveals what they actually think, reveals what they actually feel, reveals what their actual perspective is about this thing, even like in a heated conversation. Well, what do you think? Well, actually, I kind of agree with that person.
Yeah.
And by the way, you look a little triggered and scary. That would
True.
be that is very often the flavor of an authentic communication. And that's not a sanctioned communication. That's not a correct, by the narrative, that's not a mask wearing correct communication that'll check all the boxes and not offend the people it's not supposed to offend, and whatever.
Yeah.
And it takes courage because it is in fact dangerous. Egos will you take that opportunity to exact, that'll be the opportunity to attack because you're not doing it right. You're not doing it
Right.
the way they said, right? You're not saying it. You're not affiliated with the correct political party. You're not eating the right foods. You don't have the correct, belief about these 15 things, and therefore you're not acceptable. So
Right.
now that same person being authentic, being vulnerable in a community of people who are awake, being in a community of people who celebrate authenticity, who celebrate the truth, who celebrate people using their words and actions to reveal who they actually are rather than to distort who they actually are. In a community like that, then all of a sudden, vulnerability is a superpower because I believe deep down we all want to be free. We all want to just simply be ourselves. We all just want to be able to simply have the freedom and safety to say what there is to say and feel what there is to feel and do what there is to do.
Yeah.
We don't want to be controlled by a central narrative that doesn't know us, care about us, doesn't love us, doesn't appreciate us, doesn't celebrate our gifts and contribution to the world. I don't think anybody wants to be dictated and controlled by such an entity, such a disconnected, dispassionate entity. You I think people want to be free. Even the people trying really hard to give up free speech, trying to give free speech back, even they want to be free. They just don't understand the consequences. They just don't understand. Like
Right.
they don't understand that the person who's acting out and against free speech doesn't understand that their commitment to free speech is protecting them acting out.
Mm. Yeah.
That location that you're at causing a big scene and being really inconvenient to people and being really rude and disrespectful is protected legally by free speech.
Wow.
The very free
That's a,
speech
that's a bomb
you're
drop.
trying to you're that very free speech that also belongs to me that you're trying to give back.
Right.
You're trying to give back something that doesn't entirely belong to you. You know. So I get it. It's to the person who doesn't want to be free. I can appreciate the pain and the anguish and the cage that they live in that is so painful. It looks more desirable to live in a world that's completely safe rather than a world that's completely free. Freedom is not safe, and safe is not free. So I think
Right.
it was Ben Franklin or some historical early America figure said something like, if you're willing to sacrifice your freedom for comfort, if you're willing to sacrifice your freedom for safety, you deserve neither.
Mm. That one hits
I,
home.
I, I actually believe that.
Yeah.
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 So how would you address the fears that come up around vulnerability?
Well, it depends on the context. how I support people in general is when I see somebody suffering and I live in a world where that suffering doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I not 100% of the time, depending on what's going on and if I'm scheduled to be somewhere or something, but often I'll extend an invitation that sounds something like, "Hey, I can see. Well, you look to me like you're in pain about this thing. You look if it was about vulnerability. You look to me like a person who is trapped inside of who you think you're supposed to be. You look to me
Mm.
like you're trapped inside trying to get it right all the time, trying to be whoever we think you're supposed to be. And you look like you're suffering a lot. And I predict there's going to be an explosion soon. You look like you're at the end of something.
Yeah.
And I how like I don't live in that world. How a doorway, like an opportunity for freedom for you. If you'd like to hear about it, would you like to hear about it? And some people say yes, and some people say no. You um,
Yeah.
I uh, I definitely don't force my commitments on people. I'm committed that people be free, but some people don't want to be free. It's not for me to say you should be free, but I'm committed that everybody has the opportunity to be free. And so I'll extend opportunities liberally, and some are accepted and some are not. But I honor the answer in either case. But if it's a no, I may come back another time, but it's still in the same amount of respect and non-attachment.
Yeah.
But so past that point, if we get into actual conversation, I try to keep things really present in real time, like not, I may speak in generalities for a minute, like I may distinguish something about vulnerability in the mask, but where that work actually gets done is having people really allow them. Most people know they're miserable. Most people know they're in a cage, but at the same time, people are numb and oblivious to it. So I try to create a conversation where the resistance to me is minimal. So I'm not like being rude or being an asshole or something. Like I don't need to bring elements into the conversation that they get to resist, right? So I
Yeah.
try to gracefully and lovingly appreciate and understand where they're at, demonstrate that I have been where they are. Hey, you look to me like you feel this way and the other way and this way that resonate with me. Oftentimes when I say that, people look at me like, "How'd you know?" Well, I know because I
I
once
was
lived
there.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know really well. I know really well.
I was there. I was there.
I might have been there longer than you've been there. I might know it better than you, actually. So, so then it's very difficult for people to receive you as a contribution until they clear you understand where they're at. Right. Sometimes people have tried to assist me, but I'm clear they don't understand what I'm dealing with. And so it's like, well, no, thank you. At the moment, until right. So I try to demonstrate that I actually am appreciating exactly where they're at. Um, it's also impossible to contribute to somebody if you're judging them, right? And people who are dealing with something often feel judged whether they're being judged or not. So it's in one sense immaterial whether or not I'm judging them. What's important is whether or not they feel judged.
Yeah.
So I try to create conversations and ask questions that demonstrate that I actually can see where they're at. I'm good. You don't have to worry about me. Um, and um, and then I guess lastly, demonstrate that I actually have something that will be of assistance. Oftentimes, when people have tried to assist me with something or help me with something, um, they try to. It's weird. Like they say things that have no bearing on what, like, let me know I didn't do anything wrong. Well, okay, I didn't think I did, or it's okay to feel that way. Yeah, yeah, I know. Like they tell me things that are not assistive in gaining a new perspective. Oh, a lot of times people try to help, they try to justify the perspective you already have, which is the exact opposite of what's needed, right?
Mm.
If I'm stuck in something, if I'm lost in the wilderness, don't build a house for me in the wilderness. Show me the road out. Actually, that's a good analogy.
That's a really good one.
Don't
Don't
bring me
bring.
lumber to build a house. I'm trying to get out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't tell me how perfect it is. Show me the road out of it, right? So I try to demonstrate that I actually see the road out.
Hmm.
Oftentimes what people want is the house built, right? Hey, I'm in the darkness. Come build me a house. Come make me feel good about where I'm at. Nope, not on that team. Sorry, I'm exactly the
Yeah.
wrong person. If I show up, I'm actually going to take a flamethrower to the house, just let you know. So, are you sure you want me to show up? When I
We're
leave,
lighting that
that's
on
not
fire.
here. I'm happy to see you in your house, but when I leave, I'm taking it with me. So, are you sure you want me to show up? So yeah, I try to demonstrate that I actually have a road out. And then I guess fourthly, I said the last thing was the last thing, but if I think it's going to sting, lots of times what I have to say is going to be wildly uncomfortable, you know, I may let them know that. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I think I got you said yes. I appreciate that. Just one last thing. This might sting a little bit. Would you like me to proceed? And
Mm.
then if they say yes, then we're good to go. Then I try to, there's lots of ways one could do this, but I try to create a world in language that is free of whatever they're dealing with. Fear of
Hmm.
being vulnerable, for example, having to wear the mask. I try to create a world in language that's free of having to wear the mask from actually being in that world. Not like I'm not like reading a textbook. I'm not remembering something I said last week. I'm
Yeah,
allowing myself to get present to what it was like to have to wear the mask. And I allow myself to get present to what it was like to actually take it off. Fresh air, something like, oh my gosh, this has been there the whole time. Are you kidding me?
yeah,
Like what it felt like. And then
yeah,
what it feels like and what it makes available to me now that I don't have the need to wear a mask all the time. And I try to share that in such a way that the road out of the wilderness becomes obvious. And then I invite people to come join me on
yeah.
the path.
What I'm hearing, what I'm present to is like you're distinguishing like, hey, this is where I'm at, and I'm gonna give you full awareness of where I'm located, so you can be present, to what it is that I have to offer you.
Yeah,
Uh, and it's responding ably to where they're located. So it's knowing
yeah,
where they're located, so you can be fully um,
yeah,
of assistance inside of
yeah.
that container. Wow.
Yeah, I like that. Discovering where someone's located is a whole thing unto itself.
Yeah.
Most coaches I've met overpendulate to the recipe. They want to get right to, okay, well, do this, that, and the other. Oh, well, here, oh, you have this perspective. Let me give you this perspective. Okay, whoa, slow down, slow down. Let's fully appreciate where this person is located, and let's allow ourselves to appreciate some of the nuances and subtleties of what they're experiencing and
Yeah.
how it's
It's
impacting
also
them.
giving them access to their power, like just seeing them whole and complete and able to distinguish for themselves
Yes,
what's there for them inside of,
yeah.
yeah, inside of their creation.
And a great coach is someone who other people are smarter around, right?
Mm.
Sometimes um, someone may have great difficulty seeing a way out by themselves. That's actually pretty common.
Hmm.
And on occasions, my mere presence, my mere holding space, my mere listening while someone's sharing with me where they're located actually provides them the answer because there's a new listening presence.
Yeah.
And they're hearing what I'm hearing in addition to hearing what they're hearing. Sometimes more open, connected people, awake people. Like they can hear what I like just holding space, they can start to hear where I'm at while they're hearing what they've always heard, where they think they're at. And oftentimes that'll just be, oh, I see it now. And I've maybe said nothing or said very little. And
Yeah.
I actually consider those my most successful coaching conversations. I have a I have a different view that I've experienced with a lot of coaches. I consider the fewer words spoken, the better victory, not the more words. So the least amount of time, the fewer words goes into a breakthrough. I consider that more victorious than the more time and the more words I spend. I find the coaches are often enamored with the words coming out of their mouth, and so there's like more of them than there needs to be.
Yeah.
It's like singing your favorite song one more time. Well, actually, can I say something?
Yeah. I totally get that. It's literally handing the torch over.
Yeah.
It's allowed. Yeah.
Oh, and there's actually a subtlety about that. So I guess we're getting into coaching now. So a lot of times I've noticed in myself and in others,
Hmm.
people expect a conversation to be difficult or impossible. Like, hey, would you like to have a breakthrough in your integrity? Oh, couldn't possibly, that's gonna take. I don't know what that's gonna take. Well, it's actually it's just a shift in perspective. It's actually just a shift in perspective. It's
It's
not
just
that
one
to be a
shift.
10-year
It's
thing.
just one
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah, you could stretch it out for 10 years. I stretched it out for about 2 years personally, so I have compassion. People really want to before they get integrity. I get it. You really want to get the lesson good, so you don't forget it. I feel you. I feel you. However, however,
I'm breathing this one in for my damn self right now.
yes,
Like, come
however,
on.
take all the time you want. However, um, it might be easy
Hmm.
and it might be elegant and it might be today. And where they get the most information about it. So this is actually really difficult. So there they are in the darkness. They have somebody supporting them, asking questions or sharing whatever it is. And their perspective that they've had forever is that this is going to be really difficult or
Yeah.
impossible.
Or painful or hard or whatnot.
Very good,
Yeah.
painful, yes. So and then they look at you, and whatever they see in their eyes is the answer. So
Mm.
if they see, oh, poor thing, this is going to be so difficult, I knew it. But if they see, yeah, we're almost there, we got this. Oh my gosh, we're right around the corner. It's like, oh shit, maybe.
Maybe.
I trust this person. I've asked them to support me. They seem pretty confident that this is doable. Maybe it is. So I think that's really important as a coach. I'm speaking to holding the space and where you're located, right? So
Yeah.
if you're located in a world that called, hey, this is going to be really difficult and hard, take a long time. You, I recommend altering that world before your next coaching conversation
Yeah.
into a world where, hey, this gets done in a decision. Tonight's the night. There's a joke. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm going for it. So there's a joke where, uh, oh gosh, how does this go? There's something about this. There's something about like being. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't find it. Oh my gosh, I'll find it for another podcast. But
Well,
anyway,
okay.
so
So,
I like I actually the joke's not worth it. I'll just do the punchline, and it makes it won't
okay,
be
do
quite.
not.
It makes the point. So there's a guy in a seminar, and he's people are distinguishing how often they have sex, like once a week, once a month, whatever the thing is, and people want more, or whatever. They got something to say, and this one guy says, "I have sex once a year," and he's really excited about it. I go, "Well, sir, I understand that, but why are you so happy? Because tonight's the night." And
Oh,
so he was living in a world where yes, once a year, but tonight's the night. And so there's something really profound about that. There's something really profound about the coach holding the space of, hey, hey,
tonight.
yeah, once a year, that's true, but hey, great news. This is the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is difficult for most people, but hey, great news, not for you, not today, not for us, not with me, not like they're holding the space of like this is miracle time. Not
Yeah.
like, well, I guess it could work out, but like, hey, tonight's the night. And I'm committed to being a coach that when someone's looking at the abyss, considering jumping in, when somebody's standing on the cliff, considering jumping off into the abyss that they've avoided their entire lives, and they look at me one more time to see if they
Is
should
this dude
really
for
do
real?
or not. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, is this dude for real? I want to make sure that what they get is the realest thing possible. The
Right.
realest of the really reals, right? I make
Yeah.
sure I'm centered in my heart. I'm all in. I'm clean. I'm clear. I'm ready to see this through no matter what. And I do actually believe and have faith in tonight is the night. Now, as it turns out, tonight's not always the night, but
Hmm.
it's often. I have a
It's not just that
I
too.
have a
It's holding
track
the
record.
space
I have
of
a
that.
track record of getting it done. I have a track record of having an opportunity, taking a shot and hitting it. And that's because I'm committed to it and I literally practice tonight's the night,
Yeah.
And then,
That's really,
if it's
let's
not,
just pause
that's fine.
for a moment on that one.
Okay.
Practicing,
Yeah,
practicing
practicing. Tonight's the
that
night.
tonight is the night, holding the
Yeah.
space inside
Yes.
of that,
Yeah.
especially as a coach. Like, just wanted to
Yes.
highlight that. That was profound because
Yeah.
I've been holding the space too with this conversation with vulnerability is being inside of one's commitment and share. You have to share like where the hazards are, where you've been, what path you've already walked through, and you're guiding someone else. Like, it's like trying to like what you guys talk about with open heart surgery. You're not going to get the guy that's never done it before. You want the guy that's done it. So
And
it's
he was
like,
like world renowned. My choice is
come
the
on
world
now.
renowned dude.
Yeah, so it's you want the person that's done it, that's been down that path, not just once, maybe a few times,
Yeah. Yeah.
and has the fruit. So it's, yeah, I just, yeah, can you touch more on being inside?
Oh, I think we froze a little bit being inside. All right. Well, this might be the end of the podcast. I think we're at about just under 30 minutes. We'll give Sarah Jean a moment to reappear. Internet issue probably. And let's hang out a minute. Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on the On Purpose Guide podcast. Oh, are you back?
I am back.
I was just shutting it down. I go, okay, well, thank you for being at the podcast.
I was like, that must have been powerful because what I was just asking was including yourself in one's commitments. And I was like,
Ah,
so yeah,
including
I thought
oneself.
that inside of one's commitments.
Say just open up the question a little bit further.
Okay, so like we were just talking about vulnerability and the power of it, and being committed as a coach
Oh, including
and
oneself in one's own
including
commitment.
yourself.
I just
Yes.
heard it. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I heard it. Yeah. Yeah. So let's introduce congruency of being.
Okay.
I said earlier that most people use their words to obscure themselves rather than reveal themselves.
Yeah.
To anybody's listening, if you can't find that, pause here and actually find that because it's everywhere.
Yeah. And
And then
I wanted to bring something with that. There's something that came through is
yeah,
it's usually pointing at like a self-importance, like safety or trying to get something for one's own benefit, to get somewhere, to be something. And so, and leaving oneself out of it, leaving
yeah,
the true
yeah.
self outside of that. So I just wanted to bring that in.
So congruency of being is being exactly what you say. right? Your word, I said it that way on purpose. Capital W, your word, like in the grand spiritual sense, not the specific words that are coming out of my mouth, but my capacity to have word, my capacity to create worlds and language, right? Um, uh, um, so congruency is when word is a match for being and actions.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and so that the opposite of congruent would be, I believe, hypocrisy. So congruent is being and doing exactly what you say, and hypocrisy is being and doing something other than what you say. And so I'm going to say something provocative. Hopefully, it won't lose too many people. Most coaches are hypocrites.
Yes.
In that, right? Specifically in this particular way. Anytime you coach somebody to be peaceful when you're not peaceful on the inside, anytime you coach people to be loving when you're judging, anytime you're pretending to be peaceful when you're pissed off, anytime you're coaching someone to be something that you're not being, do something that you're not doing, or say something you're not saying, you're a hypocrite. Now, I'm not judging. I'm not judging. I don't support hypocrisy, but I'm not judging it. I'm just simply saying if you're not exactly what you're coaching in your being, in your words, and in your actions, then you're a hypocrite. Now, it could be that what you're coaching someone in is something that you worked through 20 years ago, in which case you're not currently following that specific coaching. But what you're coaching is something that you have transcended, transmuted, transformed, healed, had a breakthrough around, are a completely different person about, have a completely different perspective about. So, um, uh, now it's really easy to be a hypocrite. It's way easier than you think, because, well, we're taught to be hypocrites for one thing. Like in
Yeah,
the
we've
in
been
the
doing it our whole lives.
in the narrative, like out in the world, everybody's hypocrite because everybody's getting the answer right rather than investigating the truth about them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's what you're supposed to do. Well, you don't do that. Yeah, yeah, but it says it here in the manual. Hypocrisy, right? So, um, so, um, um,
Yeah, it's like you should be forgiving, but you're judging. Your
yeah.
energy and everything is judging. So
So that's one facet. The other facet is your quickest access to making a difference for someone is to make the same difference for yourself. So this is really important for parents, for example, right? So your biggest access to having your children be happy and healthy and loving is for you to be happy, healthy, and loving. It's not you wagging your finger at them, telling them how to live their lives. So most people can get that. Most people have been the child who the parent was being a hypocrite to. So most people can feel that. And many
yeah,
people have been parents where they have been hypocritical with their children. And and most people have observed parents being hypocritical with their children. Right? Well, you don't do that. You don't say thank you when I give you say thank you. Well, you didn't say thank you when I gave you that when I bought you dinner last night. Like that kind of thing. So, uh, so
yeah,
if you want to be an effective coach, in other words, if you want to be a coach who around you people like have life altering transformations and you know then you must be someone who has life altering transformations. You must be someone who's in the game on the court in such a way that you're literally blowing your own mind or putting yourself in situations where you get your mind blown.
Yeah.
Most, well, I don't know, I'm maybe overreaching now, but many coaches I've met are not what they coach. They're doing what they're doing, and then they're saying what they're saying. And they're justified in that because they're saying what they've been taught to say in a book or a course or something, which is very different than having gone up the mountain 20 times yourself, you know? So that's a thing. And then since that coach hasn't actually had those breakthroughs and had those transformations, they they are unable to be congruent. They're coaching from a manual or coaching from a program, unable to be congruent because they aren't actually what they're coaching. So now there's a way that that can work, but first of all, the first part is this: the first thing to get is that isn't world class coaching. That isn't, you know, that certainly isn't what we do at Earth.
Right.
Now, it can work if you're 100% vulnerable, which is where we started, and transparent in that, hey, I'm not a master of this thing, but I'm committed to it. Let us walk side by side, hold hands, and walk together into this conversation. And then you're leading as a peer, you're leading in an inquiry, right? So you can coach and lead as a master, or you can coach and lead in an inquiry, and they're both great and they're both really powerful as long as you're clear what you're doing and being honest about what you're doing. Many people are coaching in an inquiry pretending that they're masterful.
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
okay to not be a master of what you're coaching, just be super transparent about it. And then actually hold the space where we're all walking together rather than you guiding people along.
Yeah. Now that's powerful. And that takes courage. That takes so much courage to say, "Hey,
Yep.
I'm not this."
Yes.
But I'm walking that way and I want to become this. And
Yeah.
that is really about shifting one's focus and why you're choosing to be vulnerable. That is huge. Is getting to the source of why you're doing things to be on purpose and to
Well, there you go, back to purpose, right? So the on, I was
yeah.
thinking, should I bring purpose again? It's like, oh no, it's an on purpose podcast. I can bring purpose in.
Yes.
So,
The whole
so
purpose of
yeah, the whole purpose of this is purpose. The whole purpose of this purpose thing is purpose.
this.
And yeah, so the fuel for me to be vulnerable when I don't want to is my purpose. I've literally surrendered my life to something far greater than myself. And so, in that context, my personal feelings about something are not that interesting to me. Like, I don't sit around thinking about how I feel about things. I don't, I'm just not that, not, I don't sit around and listen to what other people, I just, how everybody feels about everything, including myself, is not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is honoring my covenant, honoring my purpose that I've given my life to. And ironically and miraculously and obviously, um, everything I've ever wanted is actually coming from the full and faithful pursuit of my purpose. Full,
Mm,
faithful, and selfless pursuit of my purpose, ironically, has given me more than I've ever had in my entire life. And my life is just ridiculous, embarrassingly blessed.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that also brings us right back to that same conversation about including yourself and one's own commitments to your purpose, being
Right.
transparent and vulnerable. It's not about your feelings, it's about where you're going, what you're doing,
So,
you
so,
know?
so here's the cherry on the top, the super high side of including oneself in your own commitment. So, my commitment is that people have embarrassingly blessed lives. So, what must I do?
Have an embarrassing, blessed life.
No. And
Wow.
so, that's a big part of my recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, you got to be someone that's walking it and talking it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, thank you for this. Thank you for this conversation. And it's
It's
not
super
easy, but
fun.
it's worth it. It's so freaking worth it when you're vulnerable, when you're sharing from your heart. You're discovering yourself. You're
Yeah.
discovering your true self.
Right.
And why would you want to be anything other than that?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of freedom when that comes up. So just thank you. Thanks, Kirk. I appreciate you.
You're super welcome. I really enjoyed having a podcast on my schedule is one of those things like, one more thing on my schedule. And then I show up and it's just like, this is beautiful, miraculous, and fun. I'm like, what? Why do I? Why do I think that every time? But somehow that's important in the conversation, right? To give voice
Yeah.
to and to yeah, to be vulnerable and transparent. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I love being here. I love the questions you bring, and I'm really honored to be part of this. So you're welcome, and thank you.
Thank you for that cherry on top. Thanks.
Okay.